However, the law does allow for entrepreneurial innovation. And some of the most successful attorneys out there have been innovators, and they've taken risks, and they've been creative, and they've solved big problems.
So when you say entrepreneurial innovation and they've taken risk and solved big problems, does that mean they came up with unique legal defenses? And if not defense, is there a such term as legal offense?
Yes. So it's not just offense and defense, although those are definitely the case in an adversarial setting where you're suing people or you're being sued. It very much is a matter of tactics and strategy, and all the war game metaphors apply.
Mm-hmm.
But the law is more than just litigation or criminal defense and criminal prosecution or civil litigation, breach of contract and torts and things like that. The law is also transactional. In fact, I would say the law touches every aspect of life, from birth till death and everything in between. And so the role of attorneys is more than just fighters, although that's popularly how we're conceived in our when somebody says, I'm going to get an attorney, they mean they're about to go to battle and they're going to lawyer up. However, we are problem solvers. And I encourage people to think of their relationship with attorneys more as a counselor than as a hired gun.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of our problems can be solved by changing your behavior and changing the way you communicate, and they don't necessarily require going to court and filing a lawsuit and having a judge adjudicate the party's rights. In fact, I'd say that's usually the last thing you want to do. And as an attorney, that's usually the last thing we do, is actually go to litigation. We look at that similarly as performing a surgery in a medical context. If there are things you can do to heal before going under the knife, you should probably try and do those lesser invasive, less risky things. And so I look at lawyers as problem solvers more than fighters. And so in the transactional setting, we put deals together. We settle conflicts. We find a way to find out the underlying sources and causes of conflicts that the parties themselves might not even be aware of, and we can alleviate the underlying issues. And now people go from enemies to friends, strategic alliance instead of competition. So it really depends. I mean, I think that a lot of artificial intelligence studies would define intelligence in a computer system in terms of problem solving. And I think it's actually a pretty fair general definition of intelligence, is the ability to solve problems. And at the end of the day, when people talk to an attorney, what they need is wisdom. What they need is somebody that isn't going to have an irrational response. They're going to think about the issues clearly and give good advice that's tailored in the long-term self-interest of the person receiving that advice. That simply means sound problem solving. And I think that's what people expect of their attorneys. And that's why the smarter you are as a lawyer, the more successful you're going to be in terms of your ability to solve problems for people.
Yeah, because I heard you say a problem solver most of the time, but it sounds like you're advocating for problem prevention. Do you believe there's a difference?
Yes, there is a difference between solving a problem and preventing one. And entrepreneurs should, or anybody managing their own family affairs or a business, should be trying to prevent problems proactively if you can. You're going to spend less,
and you usually
spend less time and resources.
And you usually can.
Some of them are. Yeah, that's right. Most risks are avoidable if you're thinking through, you're surveilling your environment, and you're accurately weighing risks. Then you can prevent a lot of things. And an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. And a lot of times, it's management problems. It's a failure to manage risk effectively that leads to a legal problem, and then you are forced into litigation. And now you're trying to cure a disease instead of avoiding ever contracting that disease.